Hello, I am Mark Lawrence Bahinting, and today I would like to share my insights or thoughts and ideas about the process of glycolysis process, Kreb cycle, and electron transport chain. So glycolysis, it is a process of that our cells use to convert glucose, which is a type of sugar, into a molecule called ATP. So ATP is a main source of energy that our cells use to power their activities. So here's how it works in simple terms. So the process starts when a glucose molecule enters the cell. Glucose, it is a simple sugar that our bodies get from our food that we eat. And once the glucose is inside the cell, the series of chemical reactions takes place. And these reactions are like a step-by-step process that breaks down the glucose molecule. And during this breakdown process, the glucose molecule is split into two smaller molecules called pyruvate. And this splitting process are also releases energy in the form of ATP. And now the pyruvate molecules can be used by the cell in different ways depending on the type of cell and the conditions inside the cell. For example, the pyruvate can be used to generate even more ATP through the process called the citric acid cycle or Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle, also known as the citric acid cycle or the carboxylic acid cycle, it is a key metabolic pathway that takes place in the mitochondria of the cell, which are the powerhouse of the cell. Is a series of chemical reactions that help our bodies to convert the food that we eat into energy that our cells can use. So here's how it works. The Krebs cycle starts with a molecule called acetyl CoA, which is produced when our cells break down carbohydrates, fats, and proteins from the food that we eat or we consume. And this acetyl CoA molecule enters the Krebs cycle and goes through a series of chemical reactions where it is breaking down and converted into other molecules such as carbon dioxide and ATP and other various other compounds. And next, these other compounds are then used in other metabolic processes such as the production of proteins, fats, and other important molecules that our bodies need to function properly. And the Krebs cycle is a cyclic process, meaning it repeats itself over and over again, continuously generating energy for our cells. The electron transport chain, or ETC, also known as the respiratory chain, it is a series of complex biochemical reaction that takes place within the mitochondria of the cell or the powerhouse of the cell. It is a crucial part of the process of cellular respiration, which is how cells convert the energy stored in food molecules in the form of energy that a cell can use, called adenosine triphosphate or ATP. So imagine a long chain with a bunch of different stations or stops along the way. So as electrons, which are tiny negatively charged particles, travel through this chain, they releases energy at each stop. So this energy is then used to pump protons, which are the positively charged particles, across the membrane and creates a build up protons on one side of the membrane. And this build up of the protons creates a kind of force that drives the final step of cellular respiration, where the protons flow back through a special enzyme, causing it to spin like a turbine. And the spinning motion is what ultimately produces ATP that the cell can use for all of its various functions.